What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to share with you how you can set better boundaries when it comes to social media. Specifically, how you can say no to people who are asking you for free advice without you sounding like a jerk. So if you want to learn how to do this, then keep on watching. Now, the reason why I created today's video was actually inspired by one of you guys. Specifically, it was inspired by Shelly. Shelly left a comment on one of my YouTube videos asking how she can deal with the people who are basically treating her like Google and really being demanding when it comes to the speediness of her responses. As someone who gets a lot of DMs myself, I completely understand what Shelly means. That's why in this video, I think it's really important for me to share with you guys the tactics that I use in order to manage the amount of DMs that I get. But let me be clear, it's not just from a management standpoint with the DMs, it's also how you respond to people who are asking you for free advice. Advice that you generally would charge your clients, your students, or any of your customers for. But first things first, as a quick disclaimer, I know that a lot of the content that I do or a lot of the advices that I've given or all the interviews that I've done, I always mention that if you are starting out and you are a beginner in your business, you don't have proof of concept yet, you don't have clients yet, you have no sales yet, it is absolutely imperative that you are in your DMs answering to as many people as possible and even giving free coaching or free advice just so that you can gain the experience and gain the feedback from your audience. However, if you are someone who is starting to scale your business and you're starting to get a lot of volume of people asking questions, or your business is becoming more complex and it's not just the DMs that you have to manage, it's everything else within your business, this video is going to be perfect for you because I really want to make sure that you are managing your mental health and you are also respecting your business, respecting your clients, and respecting your boundaries when it comes to all of the DMs that you get. Which brings me to the first tip that I have for you, and that is change your mindset and ditch the guilt. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? Well, in my experience, I know that when I was first starting out my business, I was constantly in my DMs answering every single person, giving everyone personalized one-on-one advice, whether it was through voice note, video note, or FaceTime. However, as my own business started to scale and it started to become a lot more complex and I couldn't really handle all the DMs anymore, I felt so much guilt that I couldn't get to every single person that came through my inbox. However, what I slowly realized over time is that social media is not a group coaching program, meaning it is not my responsibility or your responsibility to try to get every single person from A to Z, especially people who do not have their own resourcefulness to look up things their own on Google, let's say. Not only this, when you try to help every single person and just feed them the answer through DM, you are actually doing that person a huge disservice because now you're robbing them from the opportunity of learning things themselves and finding the answers themselves as well. And that's why they will always remain unresourceful. And on top of that, if you make it a habit of constantly trying to give every single person the answer, you are training your community to rely on you, to not compensate you, and not only this, to not respect you, your time, and your value as well. Now, before I move on to the other tips that I have for you in this video, there's one more thing that you need to know. When you start setting up boundaries, there will be people that are gonna be upset. Even for me, I've had some followers get really upset with me because I didn't answer within 24 hours. And you know what? For me, I am at peace with that. I am okay with that. And the reason that I'm okay with that, despite maybe having a handful of people that get upset with me, that says I've changed or says anything that might hurt my feelings or might make me question myself as an influencer, as a content creator, as a business owner, as a value provider, I know deep in my heart that I try my very best to put content online to the public that's accessible for everyone in order for people to learn from my resources without paying a dime. And if someone from your community is getting upset at that, then really ask yourself if they are truly someone you want in your community or someone who is probably in your community for the wrong reasons. And on that note, I really want to share with you guys a quote that I found that I absolutely love. And that is, the people who get angry at you for setting boundaries are the people who benefited from you having none in the first place. So remember, if someone gets upset that you've set boundaries or that you're not responding within 24 hours, within 48 hours, within 72 hours, or people who just get mad that you say no about answering their question that you normally would charge for, then that says more about them than it says about you.
Hey guys, really quick, I forgot to say something super important. Your mental health is also the #1 thing you should be protecting. You should not feel obligated to run yourself to the ground trying to answer all the DMs you get and mentally punishing yourself if you leave people on unread. Just like on an airplane, you need to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. As a content creator, a business owner, or someone who puts out a lot of energy for other people to benefit from, you must ensure you are not depleting your own energy tank to the ground to the point where you cannot even show up for anyone or even yourself anymore. So please keep this in mind and to never feel guilty if you cannot get to everyone as you scale. With that being said, let's get right back into the video.
Now, everything that I've said so far now leads to the second tip that I have, and that is create more content. Now, this is particularly important for those of you who aren't content creators yet, because if you're finding yourself in a situation where you have a lot of people within your community that is asking you a lot of questions, however, you know that they're either not ready or not willing to pay for your paid services, then that's a really great sign that you can create freebies or free content that allows them to access it in an easy way while still providing value to these people. And this leads me to my next tip, and that is when you do get people who are messaging you questions, make sure that you're directing them to your free content. This is something that I eventually started doing in my business because I was getting a lot of the same questions over and over again. And what I found myself doing was I was constantly answering these questions over and over again as well, when I could have just quickly sent them a link to one of my YouTube videos that already answered that specific question. And what I found is that when I did send these videos or these playlists to these audience members who were asking these questions, they were happy to go to that video and learn on their own. What I want to say is that as content creators, I know it's really easy to assume that your audience members have probably watched every single one of your videos, but the reality is that they haven't. And therefore, if you point them to the right direction, they are more than happy to consume that content. Not only this, when you direct someone to a curated piece of content, generally your videos, your blog posts, your podcast episodes will probably have more in-depth information that they need. Now, let's say you do end up sending this video, sending this playlist, sending this blog post, or whatever piece of content that you have, and they come back to you and say, I've seen that already, or I've watched all of your videos. What do you say? Well, this leads me to my next tip, and that is collect the feedback. Now, you might be wondering, what do you mean by collecting the feedback? Well, let me tell you exactly what I say when people tell me that my free content isn't enough. Specifically, what I'll say is, hey, blank, thanks so much for your question. You're right, I haven't addressed that question before in my content. I'll make sure that I keep that question in mind for any of the future free resources that I make. If you have any more questions for me, let me know. I'll be more than happy to add it to my list of content ideas. Now, even though that person might get annoyed with you that you didn't answer their question right away, I really like how this is framed, because in your response, you're still someone who is trying to help. You are collecting that feedback for future free content. However, you're not just giving them the information one-on-one, and you're assuring them that, hey, I'll keep this information in mind in order for me to create content so that I can help other people who have that same question. At the end of the day, you also want to realize that as a content creator, your impact is going to be a lot more powerful when you actually create content for the masses and not just helping people one-on-one. That's why for me, as someone who gets a lot of questions a day regarding the content that I do, regarding business, regarding social media, regarding all of these things, that's what motivates me to create even more free content so that I can direct more people to that content, so that I can show people that I'm really listening to their questions. Even this video alone is inspired by a question that one of you guys asked, and if I had just answered that person privately, I'm robbing other people of my answer. So that's why I really like this approach of making sure that they know I'm listening, but also not burning out by trying to answer their question one-on-one to every single person that asks. And as you can see, it then becomes a cycle. The more feedback that you collect, the more content that you're going to be able to do that you know will help your audience. And because you have a full library of free content, you're then able to direct as many people to these free content pieces so that you don't have to burn out answering every single person. Now, let's say you get into a situation where the person on the other side is truly upset with you and they're complaining that, hey, can't you just give me the answer right now? I just need help with my business. I just need help with whatever. Can you please just give me the answer? Well, this leads me to my next tip, and that is respecting your clients and your customers. And what I mean by this is that if you are giving people who are not compensating you for your service the same information that you generally charge for, that your clients have paid hundreds and thousands for, then it really does a huge disservice to your clients. That's why when this happens, I then reply with this. Out of respect for my current clients and students who have paid for my services in order to learn the same things that you're asking for, I actually do not provide free consultations on this matter. Now, what I can do for you though is I will keep your question in mind for future free content pieces that I do. Or if you actually want elevated service from me and support from me, then make sure you check out my website where I have my one-on-one coaching program, or where I have my course, or where I have my ebook. Direct them to whatever product or service that you sell in order for them to access that information. And when you respond with this, you're making it clear that you have two tiers of support. You've got your free content that they could choose to continue to consume, or you have your premium content and premium support that they can choose to upgrade and invest in themselves in. This is a decision that they need to make and not you. However, I found that when I do respond with this, generally people are quite understanding because it's a no-brainer no-brainer that is absolutely unfair for people who have already paid you, such as your customers, your clients, and your students, for the same type of information that these people are DMing you expecting it for free. Now, up until this point in the video, I have a feeling you have a major question in mind, and that is, great, Vanessa, now I understand how to leverage my free content in order to answer questions from people who are asking me for free advice. But how do I know the difference between free content and paid content? I don't want to make the mistake where I piss my clients off or that I piss my students off because I'm giving the same content out for free. So what do I do? Well, don't worry, my friend, because in the next video, I want you to hit the notification bell because I'm going to teach you the differences between free content versus paid content that you put online. So again, make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. Now, as always, in the meantime, while you wait for that video, make sure you also check out these two videos that I have right here. I post a lot about social media, business, and just life in general, so make sure you check out these videos as well. As always, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, a great week, and a great life, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.